All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Inside In Tennis Podcast. Mitch Michals here, all part of the Believe Network as we're moseying along in this tennis season. We've only got a couple more days of the Italian Open, the drama-filled, exciting Italian Open, and then Roland Garros will be here. Joining me now, returning to the show, first time in a while, actually. When the new season and the new dig started, he was the first guest on the new rendition of the show. But it's the fan child on X. He is a writer for TennisNow on site, will be at Paris for the duration of that tournament. Chris Oddo, welcome back to the show. Always excited to talk tennis with you.
Good time to chat, right, Mitch?
Yeah, it's a very good time to chat. And just for all the visual viewers of the show out there, you know, we talk about props and everything before. This is actually the debut episode of my Bjorn Borg Funko right there. So we've added Bjorn to the mix. So, you know, have to class the place up with a couple major champions. But Chris, this has been fun, man, because we're at a point now in the tennis season where, you know, we're on this road to Roland Garros, and I keep getting reminded, especially now, given this post-Big Three era, that sports, as they say, is the ultimate reality show. It just can't be scripted. You can't expect anything to happen. You basically got to expect the unexpected. I think Rome was a rendition of that, and based on what we've seen, I think we're going to keep seeing some unpredictability.
Yeah. This is the best time of the season, by the way. I'll start by saying that. In my opinion, you've got RG in front of us, quali starting next week. Then you got Wimbledon after that. There's still so much to be determined, and we've learned so much from these last 3 weeks, or last 6 weeks, really, that it's just everything is just boiling over, percolating. There's so much passion and intensity for the tennis in Rome, and then we all know that the best thing is ahead of us in Paris. And as you mentioned, it's a very strange feeling I'm getting from what's happening in tennis. You know, this will be the first RG without Rafa in the main draw. It just feels so wide open. Of course, we didn't have Sinner for 3 months. That made a big difference. Now he's back. That adds to the intrigue because we're trying to figure out what kind of shape he's actually in. Looks to be pretty good so far. Women's side is wide open. We're going to talk about Iga, I'm sure. So it feels like a wild card year where a lot of things can happen that weren't going to happen in the last decade or so.
It's still going to be centralized at the top, especially in the men's game when you talk about the best of 5 format in majors. But there is, you said, the tent pole of all this is Nadal's not playing tennis anymore, and he won this tournament more than anyone's ever won anything. So there's that. And there's also the seeds of doubt, right? Whether it's injury, whether it's coming off of the suspension, rust, whatever, there are seeds of doubt across the board in the men's and women's game among the contenders. So yeah, that opens the door. It's the land of opportunity. It's also a what have you done for me lately society. Sports are just like that too. So you can have a bad week in Madrid, but if you do well in Rome, everyone's going to look at that and be like, okay, here we go. So with that said, Chris, want to start with Jannik Sinner's return. Touched on it a little bit last week, but you know the competition ramped up with that Cerundolo match, and he answered the bell. I thought Francisco has and is playing well. I mean, this is a very, very good player in a lot of areas. That forehand was buzzing. I thought Sinner did very well because I think realistically, I think most people expect Sinner to not be at his best because you can't replicate matches. And I just think that he answered the bell well, and we'll see Casper. That match is coming up in a little bit here as we record this. But what's your input? What's your thoughts on Sinner as he returned to the court, returned right to the action of a 1,000-level event?
He just keeps that winning streak going, right? I mean, pretty unflappable to get this far already without having dropped a set. And I think there's like a fresh leg theory that I've been like touting a little bit where like, okay, everybody's dragging now as you get through Roland Garros. They put in so much effort. You mentioned Cerundolo. What has he paid? 25 matches on clay going back to the Latin swing. These guys have worked their asses off to get to this position, to get into form. And here comes Sinner. He's got 3 matches under his belt. His legs will be fresh. The question is, will he get some confidence? Will he get some match toughness in this week in Rome? And it looks like as it stands right now, he looks to be in really good shape. Was it Casper Ruud later tonight, though? I mean, that's going to be another awesome test.
I think with Sinner, too, especially, like, obviously the talent's always been there. And the fresh leg theory is fascinating, right? Because he did enter Hamburg, and this is probably the make or break match. It might have already broke, but, like, I think, obviously, if he wins, he's not going to play. It would be my guess. If he loses, maybe, but he's got exactly what he wants from prep work, which I think is fascinating to consider too. But yeah, Cerundolo had, I think, the most clay wins on tour this year going into this event. I think he still does. You have Sinner, and you also have a guy who before Sinner, the early matches that he got through, was that stat accurate? It was like 60 straight in a row against outside the top 20. Like he
I
just
think
does
it
not
was. Yeah.
lose. He just does
Yeah.
not lose to play.
He's a rock.
It's incredible. It's incredible consistency too. It's you start to watch enough tennis, Chris, you start to cover enough tennis, you realize that winning matches isn't necessarily about what you can do on the court as much as how you manage the moment, manage what you're able to do. And I think that goes without saying that the talent level across the board from 1 to 100 is very, very high. But these players just have it figured out. They're able to just peak at the right time, dig in when they have a moment, and manage their energy and their emotions all the way through.
Yeah, and Jannik's almost like maybe an unknown commodity in the short term. Players have been like thinking about what they have to do to stop Alcaraz, to stop Zverev, and they've been able to do that to some extent. Alcaraz kind of stopped himself, maybe in Barcelona, you can say, but
Yeah.
the numbers for Jannik on clay, which is, you don't think of it as his best surface, but he's got 14 out of 16 in the last 2 years. The losses are Alcaraz 5 sets in the RG semi and Tsitsipas in Monte Carlo in a semi that was 3 sets. He's pretty darn good on clay. And it looks like if the fresh leg theory holds, if he gets a little bit more confidence out of what he's doing this week in Rome, to me, he's a coin toss favorite up there with Carlitos for this title.
Yeah, the sample size just isn't there, right? Like there's the argument, oh, it might not be his best surface. He hasn't played a lot of clay matches. He loses the Madrid. Had the issue. I think it's health wise. There was some stuff going on, and then didn't play Rome last year, so there wasn't a lot. And I remember that Tsitsipas match. It was a questionable call before electronic line calling came in. There was a questionable call that swung that match. So point being, he's right there. He's in the second position behind Alcaraz on the RG odds. So we'll see. But this test against Casper is going to be a big one because Casper wins Madrid, 9-match winning streak, gets that first Masters title. And yet I was almost equally impressed, Chris, that he's backing it up because what have we seen all year? You win this big title, you win a Masters, and you kind of falter. Even on the women's side, too, there's been slip-ups in that next event, but not for Casper Ruud.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, right? He made those mental health revelations, which didn't completely surprise me, but I was impressed to hear him talk about it so openly, and how he just was kind of in the blues and not really feeling it for stretches of this season. Got some help and just came back with a fresh perspective. I mean, we all know how good he is on clay. He's 2-time runner-up in Paris. We always see that stat again and again that he's got the most wins on tour of any player since 2020 on clay. And when he plays well on the surface, when he's thriving, you just see how he can take control of things with his forehand, and he's become a better player year after year. I think if right now to see him thriving like this, 9 straight wins going into a huge clash tonight with Sinner. If he just fares well, even in a loss in this match, he's going into Roland Garros exactly where he wants to be. Puts him, in my opinion, as one of the top 4 favorites.
Yes, I think that's very fair because there's clearly a top 2, we'll say. And then after that, you can argue as high as 3rd, in my opinion, too, based on what he's done. But big problem, though, maybe, is that Sinner met the Pope, so he has that kind of vibe on his side.
Huge problem. Sinner in general, but after the Pope, forget it, right?
I love that. I mean, I love that there's a Pope that's a sports fan. I think a tennis fan, like that's great. Like it's just regardless of what you think, if you're religious or not, just great to have the Pope in the tennis mix.
So good, so good. And all those articles about the secret court at the Vatican by Matt Futterman. You're like, what is going on here? But he's into it. And then we're reading about it and talking about it. Of course, we're tennis writers, so we've got to look for that angle. And then the next day, Sinner shows up in the Vatican. It's so cool.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Well, the pole position, the favorite in this tournament and in Roland Garros is the defending champ at RG. That's Carlos Alcaraz. He beats Jack Draper to get to the semifinals, and he does it in a tricky straight set win, 6-4, 6-4. What I was impressed with, I mean, there was a couple things, right? Everyone knows how world-class this guy is as a tennis player, as an athlete, Chris, but the dips has been an issue. There have been times when he's been a little flat. We kind of saw it a little bit, but I was very impressed that he snapped out of it, that he was able to overcome. And how many times do we see that, right? He saves a bunch of break points, gets that quick break, and finishes down the stretch quickly. Alcaraz kind of got himself out of a rut yesterday with some positive reinforcement against a very tough player on clay and Jack Draper. So I thought there was very positive signs as he looks for his final RG prep.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for his confidence because the loss to Draper at Indian Wells was really kind of eating at him a little bit, the way he approached the match, the way he was a little intimidated. And let's face it, who isn't intimidated by the way that Jack Draper's hitting the ball and the power that he possesses off both wings and the serve? He just didn't like the way he played. It was, it was an up and down match. So this was nice. You expected him to beat Draper on clay. He sort of had to beat Draper on clay, really, to kind of be where he needs to be ahead of, finishing Rome and heading into Roland Garros. But yeah, he's looking really good. It's starting to look like on clay, he's just better than even anywhere else. We were never really sure. He wasn't even sure what his favorite surface is, but 25-2 in his last 27, was this close to winning the Olympic gold, got the RG title last year. Really just finds a way to trouble other players on the surface, because there's nowhere you can go. Even a player like Draper on the slow clay, it's sea level, struggles to hit winners off Carlitos, and you're just goaded into so many rallies, forced to try and outlast him, and that's where he thrives.
Yeah, and it is harder. And we saw in this Zverev Musetti match, the balls might not have been quality, and Zverev is like, it's hard to hit winners out there, which in clay court tennis is general, right? But Alcaraz is a tough one because he's an insane athlete, gets everything down. Similar to Rafa, he's got that next level power to finish points. In that match specifically, there was pressure, right? Like he had to get Draper back. But I also think, Chris, I know we're other sports fans too. I liken it to a pitcher in baseball that maybe gets traded AL to NL. Now there's some tape out. I think Alcaraz might have been, and understandably so, right? Surprised by the level that Draper brought out. Like Draper was in it. He's got the game. He elevated himself. Okay, round 2 on my surface. This is going to be the time where you're not going to surprise me anymore. And he did just that.
Yeah, and you're right. There is a lot of tape out about Carlos right now, ways to attack him, maybe expose vulnerabilities in his serve a little bit, because that's maybe still where he's seeking consistency and really something elevated, and probably needs to be a better server in general. But yeah, the book's out. I mean, he's a 4-time slam winner. Everybody's gunning for this guy now, and some people are taking their cracks at him. I was really impressed, even though Carlos struggled with injury, and let's mention, by the way, that he seems to be perfect 100%, even though he's wearing that sleeve. It's precautionary, it seems, but the way that Rune got that win, it put him on my radar in a big way. When Holger Rune is really playing well and really mentally in a good place, he can just be so good. I thought that was an impressive performance from him in Barcelona.
It really was. And for Draper, I mean, in a loss, like obviously could have played better, a little tentative in the first set on that forehand, as Jimmy Arias pointed out on the broadcast, but there's still so much to like. I mean, even on clay, this was maybe the one surface you're like, I don't know how it's going to translate. Now he's good on everything. He's been, Chris, in my mind, in the minds of a lot, like a top 5 player this year. Forget about the rankings, just do the eyeball test. There's a lot to like, even on clay, even into Roland Garros. He's going to be a factor for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was 9-11 on clay heading into this year, but the confidence that he's picked up just in general, all the work that he's done on his physicality, on just, getting used to playing on the tour, and now he's really asserting himself everywhere, but especially on clay. He's 9-3 now on clay, and he just looks so good. Even at sea level in Rome, I was impressed. He did run out of gas, I think, in this tournament. I think he's played so much tennis since starting his run at Indian Wells. It's pulling on him. It's almost good maybe that he's probably maybe taking a little bit of a breather there. I think he needs it. He hasn't won a match at RG, by the way, before. So I expect him in the second week. I expect him to play well, and I think it's good maybe that he's going to get a little rest.
It's a lot of points to pick up, too. No matches won. And, he just plays what I'd call like bully ball out there. Like he just overpowers you, pushes you around, and it's tough to go against, I would imagine. Well, the other player that I think's really elevated himself, if you talk breakout players this year, Chris, on the ATP, there's a couple candidates there, but Lorenzo Musetti, I mean, I think he's got to be on the short list, if not number one. The win against Zverev and the way he did it, I call him like the hot shot king, because there's different ways to win, but I think pound for pound and what he's able to do in a match-by-match basis, nobody hits better hot shots and more hot shots than him.
God, his game is so aesthetically pleasing, right? I mean, the Zverev match, he won 14 of 16 points, I believe, from Zverev serving for the set at 6-5, 40 love.
That was amazing. Like to put it in perspective, I'll let you go, but like 40 love, 6-5, triple set point on Zverev's serve, which is not a gimme. And he just wins that, goes straight through it, and then wins the tiebreak 7-1. Unbelievable.
so many good drop shots in there, and then also some a forehand pass that he created with a backhand pass that caused Zverev to pop the volley up. Everything he did was so amazing. It's so confident. You're like, what is happening? This guy's down. That was really surprising. And you kind of expected him to ride that moment and finish the match off, and he did. He's playing so well. He's got all the tools. He's got a beautiful game. His backhand is not a vulnerability at all, which a lot of one-handers can be. Maybe it is to a certain extent, as they all are, but overall, man, I mean, this guy's looking good. He's up there top 8 for me on the clay right now, for sure.
Well, now, yeah, and I got to give a shout out to Damian Cust on Twitter, because he pointed this out, that he'll be 8th he's up to number 8 in the world to be the 8th seed at Roland Garros, if not more, depending on what happens. Huge for him, because he's never made it past the 4th round. He always ran into a big top player. So now he can avoid that and maybe have his breakthrough. So that was a good point to bring up. But I think the backhand, and if you talk about the one hand, having a slice too, like having variety on it, because that's what gives him time to really unload. And he hits the crap out of the ball for his size, not the biggest guy on tour. But I think that slice is the key, because he's able to mix that up, and obviously the drop shots too. It gives him some breathing room to really tee off and blast that thing.
A lot of versatility, right? I think he's a little bit befuddling too, because his slice is good. And that explained his success, I think, to a large extent at Wimbledon last year. But yeah, he can do it on all surfaces, playing with a lot of belief. He's just growing up before our eyes. And we all thought he had a lot of potential when he came up. I think his forehand over the last several years has really gone up and become more potent. I think because he knew he needed to use it on hard courts, actually, and he made it bigger and bolder. And now he's able to kind of do it all.
This Italian tennis wave is something, right? We're just going to keep watching them all just shine and do amazing.
I know. I mean, Paolini will get to as well. I mean, what a week it is at Rome. It's finally like all paying off at Rome, which hadn't happened yet. We may have a champion from them this year. They deserve it. They put in the work. They got the players. They got the depth. They got so much talent.
I think the Zverev stuff is troubling in a little bit of a way, because, again, it was a solid result. It was a solid run. Okay, quarterfinals of Rome, but is solid what he's shooting for? Is this the new normal? And I don't think it is his goal at all. And if it is the new normal, that's not a good sign for where he's going and where he's trending, because still a lot of youth and time on his side, but there's a confidence thing. Like, you don't lose from 40-love up and then get blitzed in a tie break if it's not a confidence thing.
There's a confidence thing. I have to agree with that. I mean, and he went to the clay to maybe increase his chances of getting the number 1 for the Latin swing, and lost to Cerundolo. Not a huge surprise, but you're like, okay, I guess Cerundolo's the better clay court player. Lost to Comasana, lost to Lerner Teen at Acapulco on a hard court. Greek sport, Indian Wells, Feast at Miami. Feast is coming on. I mean, that kid's incredible. Then he wins Munich, and you're thinking, not enough for me, but maybe something to propel him back to the right direction. And he's looked a little better since, but again, lost to Cerundolo again at Madrid, tight moments, not excelling. Lost to Musetti, tight moments, not excelling. I think it's a confidence thing. You're right. And he just doesn't look right to be among my top 4 favorites for RG at this point.
I just look at it like complaining about the balls, the court, not having enough clay on it. Like, there's clearly, that's a symptom of something bigger in my mind. And yeah, if you're looking for a positive light, he has played well. He knows the best of 5 format as well as just about anyone. And maybe now with Sinner back, there's less spotlight on him. He is the type of player that has played better under the radar. When you count him out, he does win those big matches.
Good point. Good point. He's a hell of a player, and so good on clay and so relentless. And you mentioned those 5 setters. He can do that, in his sleep. Play these 4-hour matches, just grinding long rallies, slow conditions. So I mean, he still has a chance. You're right, maybe to find it and to do some damage. Definitely not to be overlooked.
We got more with Chris Oddo, the fan child, here on the Inside in Tennis podcast, talking the Italian Open, lead up to Roland Garros. So many good storylines and plots, and maybe for the first time, Chris, in a long time, we got an American men's player to kind of gush about on the clay. It's been a few weeks, but Tommy Paul into the semifinals, beats Herbert Hurkacz, first American man to go back-to-back semis in Rome since Pete Sampras in the 90s, 93, 94. But for Paul, it was a big win over Hubie, but it was also maybe even more so impressive getting that first win over Alex de Minaur in 6 tries. Paul was looking for a spark in his season, and a lot of Americans were or are in a lot of senses. But for Paul to get that demon hour win, I think it opened things up and really today highlighting his athleticism, able to break down Hubie's serve. This was a positive step, obviously, and one that could springboard him into a good Roland Garros.
Yeah, I agree. He fits on the surface pretty well. I think he's 18-6 on clay since the start of last year. Doing it again in Rome is going to be great for his confidence. And the win over Demon, you got to like it. He's been maybe like kind of plateauing for a bit this year. I sort of expected a little more from him early on, but he's got such a great game. And I think as far as the Americans go, he's probably the guy I look at on the men's side. He's the guy you look to that can really get it done. A few other guys, Shelton made some strides, but yeah, I'm a big backer of Tommy Paul. I love his game. I love his attitude. I think he's got what it takes to play his best tennis and make a run.
One of the things I worry about with just not just Tommy, but other players, and I love Brad Stein. I've had him on the show. But when you talk about goals, and it's always right improvement, like we got to go up a level. It's like 12 to 11 to 10. It's just so tough when you get to those stages there. It's like now we got to go up even higher, and sometimes it's not like the other players aren't trying to. So I think there might have been some ranking pressure. There might have been some American pressure on him. It was good to kind of just clear his head. But yeah, I'm with you. I think, and we'll see next match if it's Sinner or Ruud, how he fares. It's been a minute, right, since he's been in these big matches, and I want to see how he performs against a top 5, a number 1 player in the world.
Yeah, that's the next step for him. Is, maybe pushing further than we thought he could at the slams, that type of thing. He's pretty good in terms of consistency and ranking. I mean, he's where he needs to be now. He just needs to engineer that magical moment, that breakthrough. And I think a lot of Americans are maybe closer than we think from doing it. Look at Fritz. He's a U.S. Open finalist now. I would not have picked that 2 years ago.
No, definitely not. Hubie, it was good to see him back. Although, I love the win over Menchik. I think it's good coming back, but watching the match at the end, I was a little, unsettling to see him grimace a little bit. So I just hope that there wasn't any setbacks at the end of that Tommy Paul match.
Yeah, whenever you see one of those funky knee braces, you kind of worry. You're like, there are certain sleeves you don't worry about. You're like, that's fine. With him, I'm a little worried about it health wise. He's a big man, a lot of moving parts there. But man, you know what I love about Hubie is the way that everybody else loves Hubie. Like his matches, wherever he goes, there's always a part of the crowd that is so insanely into him and giving him good support. He creates this great vibe. One of the coolest guys out there. So yeah, I mean, you only want good things from him, and I love his game too.
A big man that can move. Although I did see the meme online that someone said he looks like the guy from Eurovision. There's a Eurovision guy that's like a Hubie doppelganger. So you can look out for that one. The women's event, though, has been equally, if not more exciting, Chris, because we've seen some upsets, some storylines, some subplots. And I want to start with this. It's been one-way traffic in the budding rivalry, if you can even call it that, of Coco Gauff and Mirra Andreeva. Coco now 4-0 over Mirra with their quarterfinal win. And it's been very similar, right? It's been tight early. Coco kind of figures some stuff out late in the first set and then kind of pulls away in the second. I think, I've talked about this before, Chris, that there's motivation for a lot of different reasons. I think Coco probably had a sparklet under her by the new kid on the block coming up and trying to steal her thunder or whatever you want to call it. But whatever it is, she locks in against Mirra Andreeva, and she has success that very few, if any, players have against the young Russian.
Yeah, that's impressive too, because I always see it as Coco's only 21, but she's got to feel the pressure of this young, super hyper talented player who we all know is destined for great things, just coming up like that. But hand it to Coco for dealing with it. Not easy to take out Andreeva, especially this year where she's hit a new level. I mean, that Indian Wells final was one of the just most amazing matches I've seen from a young player in a long time. I mean, Coco's done similar things at a young age. And by the way, Coco on clay, definitely a chance to win this title. 17 out of 21 on clay, already been to a final at Roland Garros. But so good on the surface. Her movement, I mean, just makes it a nightmare for people. We're talking about what Carlitos does. Coco does it on the women's side, just so tough to hit through and can play such great defense. And if she gets her offensive game clicking, which it looks like she is right now, she's a little bit of a purple patch confidence-wise and comfort-wise, it looks like on the court. So really nice things from her right now.
I don't know if you saw the stat where when she plays doubles, it's a lot better for her singles results. So much for the rest theory. She likes maybe it's just a way of like being fresh too, not being on the practice court and being a little bored. as some players are. It's like the John McEnroe theory. I'd rather play doubles than practice. The stats bear that out. When she plays doubles, she's doing a lot better singles wise.
That's an interesting angle. And I saw some people saying that maybe Iga should get back to doubles because she did do a lot of it in the past, something to take her mind off wherever it is these days. But I mean, like the women's side right now, and we'll get to talking about Iga, the fact that we thought she would have a Nadal-like hold on Roland Garros, potentially this is the year where we're going to find out if she does or if she doesn't. Because if she can go win Paris with the way this year has gone, then forget it. I'm not going to. She's the odds-on favorite to win double-digit titles there. But if she doesn't, then think how wide open this draw is. And especially with Sabalenka losing to Zheng yesterday, that was kind of an eye-opener too.
This is that because if she can prove she can just snap out of it. I mean, we'll start with this. Like, I don't know what's going on with Iga Swiatek. I don't know her game. It seems there's a mental component of this, but it's not just players outplaying her, players being aggressive. We've talked about this before, Chris. They smell blood in the water. These are competitive, elite-level athletes. If they see a weakness, they're going to be sharks out there and expose it. But there is something clearly off with her when you see the movement isn't quite there, when she's getting wrong-footed and sliding on her favorite surface. And I don't know if there's enough time to fix this, but I'm with you. If she figures it out now, if she does it, and I would even argue that some of Rafa's quote-unquote down lead-ups still had way more success than this. Mm-hmm. It's a tall proposition. If any woman can do it, it's Iga, but I don't know if anyone has confidence going into RG for this one.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, to be honest. The way she's playing, the things you alluded to, the fact that she's not moving, she's not mentally like switched on, she's not confident, she's not that far off. But the loss to Gauff was so lopsided. It was just kind of like watching a car crash in slow motion. It was just strange to see her that off. And it's just frustrating, too, because you want to see her battle, maybe lose in a tough match and not playing well, but just see more from her in a situation like that. It just doesn't seem to be mentally switched into things. And I think it feels like it's all mental somehow. She's just not fresh, just like bothered by something. It's really hard to pinpoint. I don't want to speculate, but it does seem to be psychological. She's not able to free herself up and play the type of tennis. We know it's there. I don't think she's injured, by the way, either.
She won just 25% of her second serve points against Danielle Collins. I know I know that if you're a hard hitter, a basher, if you will, you have a better chance against Iga. We saw it with Ostapenko. Osaka gave her the toughest match last year. Roland Garros could have won, but yeah, there's some things there, and it's the first time she's not Roland Garros favorite, and God knows how long. I'd have to really, we're talking years that this hasn't been the case. Where I don't know, but it does open things up because Coco's great on clay, probably her best surface if all said and done. Just Iga's had the stranglehold. And to segue into it, the Sabalenka loss doesn't really bother me or make me think any less of her chances, Chris, because here's a theory I've been workshopping as a fellow sports fan. This is kind of, and I don't want to begrudge Rome at all, but in a lot of ways, this can be for top players like Conference Championship Week before March Madness, where she's got her prep in. She won Madrid. She got more matches in Rome. You don't want to take it off because you want to, don't want to have 2 weeks where you're not playing. But you lost to a great player. You were off. There were some things. The crowd was being a little rough, which they've unfortunately been in Rome. I don't look at this as a bad loss necessarily. I think she got her prep in, and I think she's going to hit the ground running at RG.
I'd agree with you. I think Qinwen was queening in that match, just playing perfect tennis too, and she's the first striker that can do that even against Aryna. So yeah, I think in Aryna she's always been one to take losses in a hard way, but also a positive way. It makes her burn. She's really hungry for big things. She wants this title, so maybe this loss will kind of free her up and help her psychologically to just be like, sort of have nothing to lose, even though I have everything to lose, because people are always going to give me crap if I don't win the big one at any time. But yeah, I agree with that theory. It sounds good. Maybe not maybe for her winning the Rome title would be almost too much because she hasn't won it before, and it would just be an insane victory for her.
How about Rome, where we had 2 first-time wins and these streaks could snap? You had Tommy Paul beat De Minaur, and you had Qinwen beat Sabalenka after like 5 or 6 tries. So
yeah, that was a big effort.
For Qinwen won the gold medal on Roland Garros' court, so she can play on clay. And I thought that match was very smart, right? Here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to get into rallies. I'm not going to slot. I'm going to play the match on my terms. which I think we talk about with going back to Zverev, right? Like win or lose, you're going to make more errors against top players because you have to be aggressive because you don't want to, get into the game of more of attrition with them. So I thought Qinwen played beautifully and she served well, which is the key against Sabalenka. And, we're talking about contenders. She certainly has all the tools to throw her hat in the race.
She's good on slow clay. I mean, obviously gold medals. Paris could be a special place for her. And I always looked at her game, this physicality that's there, the consistency, the heavy top. I mean, she's made for that surface and those courts. So I mean, she's going to be a factor now. I think this is going to do wonders for her confidence too. She's got a couple wins over reigning number ones now under her belt, gold medal. I mean, she's a woman that thinks she can win Roland Garros.
There is no lack of confidence with her. No. Not at all. Not at all. And then finally, the other side of it, you have Paolini beats Stearns today. So Jasmine Paolini is in the final. Rome's adoring hero. Italy has a finalist in the women's side for the first time since Sarah Irani in 2014. Yeah. Paolini's something. I mean, that positivity gets her through matches. Diana Schneider, she's down a set, 4-1 double break, comes back and wins. Crowd roars. Today against Peyton Stearns, who we'll get to in a second. But Stearns had a set point in that first set, 5-3, and then it's a 7-5 Paolini set, and then she runs away 6-1. So, Chris, Jasmine Paolini, again, like talk about defying the odds with her stature and what she can do out there. But it was just special to watch her cook and to watch her play elite level tennis.
5'4" with one of the biggest forehands in the sport, right? And like the way she's handled that success, remarkable that she made a Wimbledon final after making the RG final. Nobody could believe she made the Roland Garros final, believe it. But she's a believer. She's never let it mess with her head. She's always been like, this is a gift. I'm just happy to be here. I don't expect too much. And I think she's been able to keep that attitude and just with confidence that has to be embedded in her from all the success she's having. And she really hasn't missed a step from last year. She's going to be maybe potentially top 4 again heading into Paris if she can win the title, which given how insane the atmosphere is going to be, she might have a chance.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, she's got the side of the draw. She took advantage of the side of the draw to her credit, but it was some impressive wins. And yeah, she translates on all surfaces. She strikes the ball so clean and is very, very tactical out there. I mean, you don't come back all these times without figuring out and problem solving. So can't say enough good things about Jasmine. Very popular player. Seems like the locker room and the fans alike are happy for her. Peyton Stearns, though, I got to give her full marks and full credit because 3 straight 7-6 wins in the third set to get to the semifinal, come out of the quarter that was Iga's quarter and to do it. But it wasn't like she was beating scrubs either. I mean, you're talking about Osaka and Svitolina down the stretch to get there and throwing up in the middle of the Osaka match too. But nothing was going to slow her down. She fought to the very end. So I always knew she was a tenacious competitor. This just reinforced it.
Yes, true. She's always been that way. She's tough. She's a hard hitter. She's a hard worker. I think she had some tough matches and tough moments where she really, I guess I hate to use the word choke, but she would probably say she's had some tough moments like that. So to get 3 matches in succession like this and to become the first player to ever win 3 consecutive third set breakers at tour level, that's just insane, and doing it while puking. By the way, Naomi Osaka's playing great on the clay. That's not like what we would have thought a win over Osaka on the clay would have been a month ago. It actually was not. So a great effort by her to reach this far. It's going to do wonders for her confidence. She's still 23 years old, probably like a lot of collegiate players can fit into the late bloomer category. A lot of track left to run on for Peyton Stearns.
26 now, I believe, in the rankings. So a seed, which is huge, which is great. So she's going to be seeded at Roland Garros. It'll be great to see her chances to really cause some havoc. And then, when we get to the American session, Chris, it's going to be North American session. There'll be a lot of Peyton Stearns fans out there. Yeah,
just add another American into the WTA side into the seeds. By the way, maybe Blazkavicic, her new coach for 2 weeks, is looking like the coach of the year, right? I'm excited to catch up with him at Roland Garros and figure out what's going on between these two, because maybe it's one of those connections that's going to pay dividends for the months to come as well.
Maybe that's the lesson here. When you have a problem, just go to social media and crowdsource it, because that's what Peyton did, and it worked out.
So fun. Yeah.
All All right, a few more things with Chris Oddo here, the fan child on the Inside In Tennis podcast. We'll talk about the Rome semis and final and just kind of predict what we think is going to happen in a second. But do want to get your thoughts on Novak Djokovic, Chris, because it's an interesting time. It's a mysterious time to kind of predict what he's going to do. He pulled out of Rome. He will play Geneva. He took a wild card to that event. But the news this week was the partnership with Andy Murray comes to an end amicably, but it does come to an end. So news to that and reaction to that, Chris. No more Murray and Djokovic, and where Djokovic might go from here.
Well, I say good because like something had to change. A lot of things have to change. Clearly, he's 0-2 on clay, hasn't won a set yet. He's 10-2 at his two best events, which were the Australian Open and Miami. But other than that, he's 2-5 and just losing like kind of uninspired losses. Doesn't really seem prepared in a lot of ways. Doesn't seem physically like fast twitch ways. It doesn't feel like he's the Djokovic of old. Of course, he's not going to be. He's going to be 38 next week, but he just needs some inspiration. He needs some hard yards. He needs to be as fit as he possibly can at this age. He's got the experience that can get him through matches in Paris. A couple wins in Geneva would be great, but I honestly don't know where he's at or what he has left. I'm expecting very little. It's sad to me that this is the last guy of the Big Four era, and he's the greatest probably of them all. He's got 24 majors, and it just surprised me that you knew it was going to end at some point. I guess I just didn't expect it to be so soon, and I really don't think he's going to have much. Like, I wouldn't be surprised with a first round straight sets loss at this point. Then again, I wouldn't be that surprised if he's in the second week and he's playing great and he's finding inspiration. I just don't know.
Yeah, this is of all the comparisons to like that Sampras walk-off in 02, this would be at least leading into it because no one knows what to expect. There's not a lot of signs, but if he can figure it out, if the draw maybe breaks for him a little bit, I was shocked he didn't play Rome, but getting matches in Geneva should be good. I think that's what, it's not about winning, obviously, with his resume, clearly, but getting a couple matches in. And I'm with you. The Murray news, like it's a spark, like you need a spark. Something has to change. You need a spark. Prove that you are still in it to win it. And yeah, I don't know how much longer it's going to go, though. Yeah, and then that's the thing, right? On social media, it's a thing with Nadal. It's when they pull out of a tournament and they say, we'll see if I'm back next year. When they don't say, I'll see you next year for sure, then you got to wonder.
Yeah, I don't know what it all looks like for Novak now going forward. I mean, it could be his last season. I mean, maybe if things don't go how he wanted them to at Roland Garros, he decides, I'll finish the year while I'm still playing pretty good. And I don't know. I really don't know.
It was crazy, right? Like to me, the jarring one was when he won that Olympic gold medal, which was one of the greatest achievement sports that I've ever seen. But it was that reaction when they asked him if he's satisfied, and he said yes. Like he never said that before.
I know.
So when I heard that, I was like, well, now the days are numbered. Like you don't answer a question like that. So
you're right. It does feel like in some ways he is satisfied. So maybe there's 95% of the intensity, the burn in his belly that drove this guy to be so incredible for so long. And it's expected. He did it for 20 years. He was ridiculous. He was superhuman.
24.
It's just weird to see that. Like, it makes you realize how much he had to put into it to do it the way he did it, because he's still putting in maybe 98% of what he's got, and it's not the same.
That's crazy. And the injuries, you get older, stuff starts to happen. You don't recover as fast. It's the aging process. It's Father Time being undefeated yet again. Well, we're going to gear up for, an interesting time. Just quickly on Rome, I mean, how do you see this tournament shaking out? Do you think this is a Coco title, her 1,000 level? Qinwen's there. Paolini's in the final. And on the men's side, are we going to see that Sinner Alcaraz final?
Oh, man. Stop. No, I think Casper Ruud's going to throw a wrench in it.
Okay. All right. I think, you know what? I don't hate that. I actually think I just think maybe, that's rest versus rust, right? It's like, Sinner is fresher because he hasn't played, the fresh leg theory, but Ruud coming off of Madrid, I don't know. I don't know if he gets him here.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I see you. I'm going to go I'm going to go Ruud and Musetti in the final.
Oh, all right.
Total insanity.
Musetti beats Alcaraz. That's going to be a hot crowd for sure. Crowd's going to be buzzing for that match. That's going to be great.
You're probably right, though. I mean, Alcaraz and Sinner final would be incredible. It always is. But I don't know. I feel like there's a little less chance of those two dominating this year, I feel like, than last year. Smidge less.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think Coco probably gets by Qinwen. I think that's a big matchup for her. Some advantages. Also, it's like beating the top two players right now back to back is tough. And I don't know that Qinwen can go Sabalenka, Coco back to back. Paolini in the final is going to have a chance because that crowd's going to be like the third man or whatever you want to call it. You know, it's like it's going to be a chance. So, but I do think this is looking like a Coco tournament. Well, we gear up for, Roland Garros qualifying, and we've already got some news there. How about Stan getting a wild card, which is a big deal, right? A foreign wild card, not a French player, but if anybody deserves it, and what's all but assuredly looks like his final season, it's the 2015 champion.
Yeah, he deserves it. I hope he can get some wins. That would be cool. By the way, I'm saying Paolini to win it.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
I didn't get to throw that in, but yeah, animal, the love that the public has for him in France is huge. I mean, if you could just get those 2015 Jannik shorts back, that would make it just perfect for me.
Yeah, if they had a pool there, he could just go right in. He'd look like he blends right in because it's like a bathing suit. But yeah, that was stunning when he hit that backhand around the net post in between the IBM sign against Djokovic in the final. I was like, this is the most intense. That was maybe the best shot I've ever seen. The degree of difficulty on that's like 100 out of 100.
That was unreal. Unreal final.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And I think it's going to be fun, right? You get to the qualifying this time of year is fun. And you see what people outside, maybe casual fans or fans that don't tune in every week like we do, don't necessarily see, and you're going to be on the ground, Chris, is that there's so many stories out of qualifying. What it means to even get to the tournament, the payday, but also the ranking points is huge. And then some of these players end up just keeping it going with that house money and winning a couple main draw matches.
It's fantastic. The joy on so many faces on the last day of qualies, I work for the RG website, and we do a lot of those interviews. It's so much fun to do an interview like that with players who are meeting their life goals, whether they're older, whether they're younger, and it's brand new. And that's a fun time. And the qualies last year, I think, kicked off this whole 3-week tournament thing at Roland Garros, where we had Thiem and Schwartzman playing on Longland in their last matches, and they didn't even qualify, but it was still packed houses, and it was still pretty special for them. And you're like, wow, you see the potential of what a qualifying week can really be. And now they're blowing up at all the slams, and they're good times.
They're so fun. It's an exciting time of year. It bears repeating. Chris Oddo, this was fun. We can find you on TennisNow. What do you got cooking up? I know you're going to be traveling, but any features or pieces or anything we should be looking out for you?
I'll be writing a lot for RG.com, and I'll just be chasing people down in Paris for 3 weeks straight. Yeah. So check that out, and check me out at TennisNow as well. And just grinding and whatever's happening, I'll be covering.
We got that, and we've also got your celebration finally coming to an end after the Islanders won the NHL draft lottery. So there is.
I'm happy about that, and I'm also very much into Connor McJesus and Edmonton being in the conference finals.
I'm out in LA. Yeah, I'm out in LA. He's only knocked the Kings out 4 straight years, so it's the annual beating there. But yeah, this is a great time for me because it's tennis during the day and it's hockey night. Sleep's maybe not a high priority right now, but I got mornings of tennis and nights of hockey. It's pretty good.
I'll sleep in December for a bit, maybe.
Maybe like that week. I think there's some sleep time that week or two in between RG and Wimbledon. But yeah, then December we all just catch up. Chris Oddo, this was a blast, man. Always is excited to catch up with you. Can't wait to do it again. Safe travels over to Paris and have some fun covering the Roland Garros 2025 tournament.
Thanks, Mitch. Always appreciate it.
That was Chris Oddo. This was the Inside in Tennis podcast. We're available on all your podcast platforms. Just go to Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or iHeart and search the Inside in Tennis podcast. Leave a nice rating and review and subscribe. And when you subscribe, every episode is automatically downloaded to your listening device. It's that simple. And you can go to the YouTube channel at Mitch Michals for the full video episodes and some short clips as well of every podcast. So for Chris Oddo, I'm Mitch Michals. This was the Inside in Tennis podcast. Thank you for watching or listening. Enjoy the tennis, and I'll talk to you soon.